The intensifying trade tensions between the United States and China threaten to drastically reduce bilateral trade, with projections indicating a potential drop of up to 80% in merchandise trade. This is the fear expressed by the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, and the DG said, as U.S. and China represent the world's two largest economies, they're escalating tit-for-tat measures representing about 3% of global trade risk far-reaching consequences that could destabilize the global economic landscape and undermine growth prospects worldwide, with rippling effects spreading to other nations, particularly developing and least developed countries. As a 90-day window has been opened for negotiations, what is the way forward out of the looming global economic crisis? Well, Professor André Roux, University of Stellenbosch Business School, of course, lecturer, professor in South Africa, joins me to probably provide a solution or an answer to that question. Thank you so much, Professor Roux, for joining us.
Thank you, and good morning to you and all your viewers.
Yeah, you're welcome. So let's start this way. I mean, the U.S. President Donald Trump, when you look at it, seems to be putting America first. But the way he used the trade policy and reciprocal tariffs to get the world's attention, damning the initial consequences, some economists say it is ingenious. What do you think?
I think if he thinks he's putting America first, I don't think he understands economics very well. And by the way, not only that, but he's flip-flopping. I mean, he makes a decision one day and then pulls back a week later. It's all very confusing. But tariffs have never ultimately, in the long term, benefited any country. I mean, from the American point of view, tariffs on imported goods must mean that in America, goods will become more expensive. That will chase up inflation, and if it really chase inflation up too much, America would have no choice but to either, at best, stall any interest rate drops, but possibly even raise interest rates. But not only that, it means that consumers in America are being denied the opportunity to buy goods that they wish to consume at the lowest possible price. It means that consumer welfare, or the loss in consumer welfare, will probably be bigger than any gains for producers. And talking about producers, obviously, with some kind of tariff, which is protection, it means that producers don't really need to be as efficient as they otherwise would have to be. If they feel they're going to be protected every time, why bother becoming more efficient? So overall, the net effect on the American economy must be negative. Now, the problem there, of course, is that it's not confined to America. As you pointed out, they account for a big part of international trade. And any of their trading partners will suffer collateral damage as a result. So if America's economy slows down, it's bound to have a similar effect on many other economies, including those in Africa. That's just the American side. Then we take the Chinese side. Now, if this was 10 years ago, China would be extremely worried because a big chunk of their manufacturing went to America. These days, it's still a big chunk, but not as big as before, because China now has a whole bunch of other middle-income consumers closer to home who can buy the goods they are producing. And we already see this morning, I believe, that China and others are selling off American government bonds, bearing in mind China is a big lender to America. So all of these things are just creating volatility, uncertainty, currency uncertainty, capital market uncertainty, trade uncertainty. The whole world is now clouded with this uncertainty, and we all get to feel a negative impact.
Yes, so Professor Roux, you said that we are all going to feel the impact. Let's scale it down to emerging economies. I mean, the WTO DG said that negative macroeconomic effects will extend to other economies. Now, what rippling effect would that have on emerging economies, low-income countries, predominantly in Africa?
Yeah, it does depend, of course, on the extent of each country's trade with America. We will look at the direct impact. We know that many countries in Africa do now look, in any case, towards China as a bigger trade partner, so it will somehow, to some extent, soften the blow. But really, even though there might not be a direct impact, as I said earlier, the indirect impact on all economies will be profound, and developing economies, LDCs, will probably feel the pain more than many others. And unfortunately, that includes many countries in Africa.
Okay, so now that we see that, a 90-day window has been opened by the U.S. president for negotiations, and we know that Africa is also going to be heavily affected by whatever decisions that might arise from that negotiation. What do you think the big players should be doing in terms of policy decision to see that we avert a global war?
You see, that's where the problem lies. Obviously, each nation would like to sort of reinforce its own autonomy and own independence, but America being so big, clearly Trump is using this as a tool, as a lever, to try to change countries' economic and even political behavior. So it's going to be a matter of to what extent are we willing to sacrifice our almost our own principles in order to retain a good trade relationship with America. And that we'll have to see how negotiations occur. But you're quite right. I mean, it's now up to diplomats. I would say leave it to the diplomats now to try to sort things out. I think we're going to find some countries are going to say, all right, America, you have us in a corner, so we will comply with your requests in return for generous, far more generous tariffs. Others might be more stubborn, like China, obviously, as we see. They are playing tit for tat. They're retaliating. I mean, that outcome is going to be crucial. I don't see either one of America or China standing back. It will be a question of losing faith or losing face, as it were. But as I say, for each individual country in the world, including Africa, it's a matter of negotiating on a one-on-one basis.
And of course, we know that the World Trade Organization has said that it is willing to serve as a middleman to have some sort of discussions and come to a consensus of what can be done to address this trade tariff. And we hope that some meaningful conversation might just come out of it to appease all. Professor André Roux, we are going to talk more about this even as we continue to monitor the situation and bring you back on to speak on this. But then want to appreciate the fact that you shared your thoughts with us on the show. Professor André Roux, University of Stellenbosch Business School Professor at South Africa. It was nice talking to you. And that's it.
Goodbye.
Yeah, of course. Bye.